meals at certain parks. There are meals and snacks for kids and seniors. Visit parks.lacounty.gov to find out which centers are offering which programs and to register in advance. And in addition to offering 2 free meals per day for all students, the LA Unified School District provides weekend meal kits for its students by request. The meal kits can be picked up on Fridays at grab-and-go locations. Please visit lausd.org/Cafe LA. That's lausd.org/CAFELA. We keep us safe. We keep us provided for. We keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk of 1580. I'm so grateful to be with you in this hour, these 2 hours that we have on Thought Provoking Thursdays. Our very special guests today are Dr. P.L. De Silva and Azrat De Silva, who will be joining us shortly, as well as in our second hour, Dr. Johnny Mack, where we continue our discussions about the World House, with a particular focus today on the disciples that followed Martin Luther King Jr. and his very thought-provoking work. I do want to touch upon in this first segment my father's health and share with everyone that I am so grateful for all of the thoughts and prayers. On behalf of the Jackson family, we cannot extend enough of our gratitude for those of you who have expressed your thoughts and prayers over the last 24 hours. I thought I'd offer a little bit of history and a little bit of background. In 2015, I think it was, maybe 2014, my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is a degenerative mental and brain-related disease that affects one's mobility, motor functions, and over time, neurological functions. And for more than a decade now, since that diagnosis, my father has been struggling with the disease. Dad was notified of his Parkinson's when I was incarcerated, and he refused to share with me during that period that he had been diagnosed with Parkinson's. Obviously, it would have been very difficult under the circumstances of incarceration for me to be able to handle it, and so he kept it to himself. Upon my release, he shared with me that he was in that particular struggle. We had our moments as a family to wrestle and to deal with it. But within the last year or so, when the Reverend went to the Mayo Clinic, which was pretty well publicized that he was there, a further diagnosis of his particular neurological function revealed that he has progressive pseudonuclear palsy. This is a very, very rare disease. It's in the Parkinson's family, but it is not the Parkinson's disease. The average life expectancy for a person diagnosed with progressive pseudonuclear or supranuclear palsy is 7 years. Well, Dad has lived a number of years past the life expectancy associated with this particular illness, and has put up and continues to put up a valiant struggle against this particular form of unique Parkinson's for which there is no cure. During the show yesterday, about half an hour before the show ended, I started receiving text messages from my mother, and she was sharing with me while we were live on the air on Todd Urey's show that Dad was not having a good day. And I was trying to be as professional as I could throughout the remainder of the show, as I try to do every single day. I tried to not express myself emotionally about what the text messages were and what she was trying to tell me. So I had to work my way through the show, and I had Reverend Todd Yeary help pushing me along to get me to the end of the show until I just had to go catch up to Dad. And by the time I got there, the ambulance was there, the fire department was there, the police were there. He was already in the ambulance. I jumped out of my car, jumped into the ambulance, and rode with him to the hospital. And under the very thoughtful and careful care of the paramedics and the Chicago Fire Department and the police department, we were able to get him there. The doctors were able to work with him to provide him the necessary fluids that he needs to kind of sustain him. And I'm proud to report that there has been significant improvement in the last 24 hours of his condition. So I wanted to say that we're so grateful for your thoughts and prayers. I do want to apologize for the context and the timing within which I was operating in the last part of the show yesterday, because I couldn't call anyone or receive any calls, and it was very important to me that I get to Dad as quickly as I possibly could. And we have some decent news to report. Please keep Dad in your thoughts and prayers, and we'll keep moving forward. So much is taking place in the world, and I'm particularly honored that P.L. Da Silva and his wife, Azra, will be our very special guests in the first hour worldwide with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. They both bring international experience to the forefront, for which I will share with you their introductions and their bios when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Worldwide. P.L. Da Silva and Azra Da Silva are our very special guests.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MAJOR25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MAJOR25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MAJOR25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
eBay has reinvented vehicle buying. From click to curb, everything's covered. Ever try to buy a car online and end up in a parking lot with a stranger and some blind trust? That era is over. Now with Secure Purchase, eBay isn't just where you find your car. It's where you buy it, start to finish. Title, financing, registration, delivery, it's all built in. This is the modern way to buy your next ride on eBay. eBay. Things people love. Secure Purchase is powered by Caramel Dealer Services, LLC, an eBay subsidiary.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jackson Jr. for the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580 worldwide. But just before I introduce PL De Silva, I just want Pedro Pizarro at California Edison to know that I have not forgotten about you, nor have we at KBLA. Pedro.Pizarro at sce.com. Call 626-302-2255. Press number 1. We want Brother Pizarro to get in touch with Tavis Smiley at KBLA upon his earliest convenience so we can continue our discussion about the people of Altadena. We want them to have a happy Thanksgiving, and we need some answers. I'm particularly honored in this hour to introduce Dr. P.L. De Silva, who has over 20 years of experience in backroom diplomacy, mediation, and negotiation. He has taught politics, international relations, and several graduate undergraduate programs at universities in New York, New Jersey, Long Island, and Queen's University of Belfast in Northern Ireland. Dr. De Silva's publications include Postmodern Insurgencies, Political Violence, Identity Formation, and Peacemaking in Comparative Perspective. He's the co-author with Professor Debbie D. Lakshman of the International War-Related Trauma and Humanitarian Intervention Trust, setting up psychosocial training programs for practitioners serving combatants, non-combatants during Sri Lanka's civil war. Dr. De Silva, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Very good to hear from you, Jesse. How is your dad?
Thank you very much for asking. He's recovering 24 hours later, and I'm proud that he is making that effort. That is, as you know, a hell of a fighter. PL, I am so glad to hear your voice this week. You know, we had a technical difficulty last week. I'm so glad you're.
I know. I hope my Dutch friend didn't let the side down.
Oh, no, he was fantastic and really appreciative. We did an analysis comparing their healthcare systems, the strength of their democratic reforms and their democracy in the Netherlands with our own. And I thought it was very enlightening. And I was very grateful that he decided to spend the second hour with us as well. And he's always welcome back on the program.
Very good. Very good to hear that. Yeah, I'm at an office at the UN Church Center, and connectivity may be, spotty. I'm not sure, but let's give it a shot.
You sound very good on our end. PL, so much is taking place in the world, but it's also becoming increasingly clear that so much of our domestic and international politics are being driven at this hour by the Epstein files. The President of the United States appears to be a little bit thin under the skin. That's speaking mildly and very conservatively, and the understatement of the century, that he's soft-skinned. But he has been acting out in ways against the American people, acting out from here to Venezuela, acting out, diverting people's attention from one end of the globe to the other. So much of it seems to be centered around the revelations that are likely to be coming out and continue to be coming out surrounding the Epstein files. Your initial thoughts, and then I'd like to talk with you about how men and women balance the things that they've done in their lives that can impact their leadership and whether or not they are capable of serving. Dr. De Silva.
So what we need, the American people, what other peoples of other countries needs, we need to have leadership that is unblemished. And that is what we need. We need unblemished leadership so that they can actually do the job that they're elected to do, which is public service. Not to grandstand, not to bully, less powerful countries, and also ignore their people's suffering, whether it is SNAP benefits and other things. We need to be able to have leaders that actually care. We need leaders who care and who do the right thing, who do public service, not to aggrandize themselves and to get richer. We need people who are willing to do the extra that is required to keep their people safe. and secure and prosperous.
Pio, I think one of the ugliest crimes known to man is blackmail. And even Russiagate, if you will, in the first administration with Donald Trump, there was always this speculation that somehow the Russians might have had something on President Trump that was of interest to the intelligence agencies here in the United States. President Trump's rewriting the national narrative as well as relationship with the Russian president and with his regime seems to reflect his genuflecting before Vladimir Putin, seems to reflect a relationship that is beyond the surface level, that suggests Mr. Putin has some knowledge of Mr. Trump and his behaviors, business deals that are impacting their relationship. In Washington, increasingly, the Congress of the United States and their genuflections before the President of the United States, and maybe even the Supreme Court of the United States, and its decisions that have been turning over power to Donald Trump, reflect a behavior that does not reflect the independence of these various branches of government either, leading me to believe that Donald Trump probably has something through the Justice Department and through his own means on everybody, something that he can use to make entire branches of government quiver and bend to his will. The art of blackmail, coercion, of having something on people that makes them fall in line. This is deeply troubling, isn't it, Pio?
This is the problem that we have in the United States of America. This Donald Trump's behavior, it reminds me of J. Edgar Hoover, who had dirt on everybody. And apparently there is talk on Capitol Hill that Trump is actually using the Epstein files to blackmail senators, congressmen who have been implicated with Epstein. And he's actually using that not to expose himself, but he's threatening to expose others and therefore getting them to kowtow to him. I'm not sure how far this is true or not true, but it's certainly plausible. And what we need is a moral, ethical leadership. We don't need a 34-count felon sitting in the White House and demolishing the West Wing and creating chaos every single day all across the world. We don't need that. We need a moral leadership that is unblemished. And that's what America needs. And for that, we need young blood. We don't need the old, corrupt politicians on Capitol Hill. We need young people to make a difference. We need people like Zoran Mamdani, who's bringing a new style to New York City. He may not be successful, but at least it is some kind of change. And this is what I tell my friends who grumble about Mamdani. Give the young people a chance to make their own mistakes and learn from them, because that's the only way that this country is going to get out of the hole that it is in. The old corrupt politicians are not going to do that. They're going to only feather their nests even more. Because if you look at all these senators and congressmen and others on Capitol Hill, if you look at their bank balances before they got into politics and after they leave the circus, just look at how much of money they accrued and stocks and bonds and shares and things like that. Do you think that's possible if there's no corruption for a civil servant to get that kind of wealth? I think not. I think all of these lobbying and things like that that goes on in Washington, D.C. is legalized corruption.
I think that's right, but not only in our country, but in countries around the world. I was watching the news this morning with the Prime Minister of Israel, who Donald Trump is also requesting a pardon for from the President of Israel. He too is facing corruption charges, and yet they are using or attempting to use the pardon power at Donald Trump's request to forgive him of his crimes as well. How widespread in democratic countries around the world is this level of corruption, in your opinion, given your understanding of diplomacy? And is it a threat to democracy as a whole in many, many places?
I think corruption is rampant. I mean, India is supposed to be the largest democracy in per capita in the world, and corruption is rampant. Money changes hands all the time, and that's India. And then just look around the world and look at the corruption scandals that we've had from East Asia, in South Korea, China, even Japan. Look at Indonesia, look at Malaysia, even Singapore, right? And then you come to Sri Lanka, you come to the Arab Gulf countries, you look at Sub-Saharan Africa, North Africa, Europe, Russia, and look at Central and South America. I don't think any of these countries that pretend to be democracies, that their leadership is not corrupt. I mean, Central and South America, we have narco trafficking, which makes billions of dollars. In Sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa, you have human trafficking, in addition to everything else that goes on, like getting minerals and stealing coltan and all of these things in the Congo, in the Eastern Congo. So corruption, it's endemic, and I think it's in every single society, and that's why we need to legislate against it, and we need clean politicians, unblemished politicians who are coming in to serve their people. Trump and his ilk have forgotten that they are serving upon the wishes of their electorate, the people who voted for them, but they've forgotten all of that. Trump behaves like he's a king, and we don't like kings in this country. And how many people protested against him? Was it 6 million people in all 50 states of the United States? So these are all things, but we need to kind of wake up and smell the coffee and make a difference to make this country livable again. How is it possible that people are not being fed in this country? How is it possible that federal workers are not getting paid, including the military? How is it possible that this country, which is one of the OECD countries, it happens only in this country, and we happen to be one of the most indebted country with a huge trillions of dollars debt, a burden that future generations will have to bear.
I spoke with a group of African American students earlier today, and some adults were present. And I shared with them a perspective that I hadn't given much thought to. Sometimes our narrative and our story runs together here in the United States. But for African Americans who were first brought to these shores in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619, from 1619 to 1776, we never talk about it, but we lived under a king. There was no United States. We fought in the Revolutionary War. There's no United States until September 17th, 1787. We lived under a king. Slavery occurred under a king. And then America surfaces on September 17th, 1787. The first time that we have, and the first experiment that presented itself for us to move from living under a king to the idea, the unborn idea of democracy. and then the first 15 presidents of the United States. Slavery existed under democracy for 15 presidents until the 16th president issues an Emancipation Proclamation, advances the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments with the right to not be in slavery, laying the foundation for the end of states' rights on the question of slavery. And from that moment forward, this nation was towards democracy. We've actually spent more time in this nation in unfreedom and various forms of slavery than we have in democracy and in freedom. Democracy itself is a new idea. But this won't be the first time we've lived under a tyrant. So much of the nation itself at its very foundations and the American experiment itself is a challenge to tyranny. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to PL De Silva and Jesse Jackson Jr. on Worldwide with PL De Silva on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with PL De Silva when we come forward.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Outgoing New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who is Black, just designated the Elizabeth Street Garden in Nolita as city parkland, blocking plans for senior affordable housing there.
It is no surprise that Mayor Adams is using his final weeks and months to cement a legacy of dysfunction and inconsistency.
Incoming Mayor Zoran Mamdani criticized the move. The Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. is in the hospital. His Rainbow Push Coalition says the 84-year-old civil rights icon was admitted Wednesday and is being monitored for progressive supranuclear palsy, a neurodegenerative condition he's managed for over a decade. And Sean Diddy Combs will spend a few extra weeks behind bars after his release date was pushed from May 8, 2028 to June 4th. Page 6 did not confirm why, but it comes after reports of issues with prison officials and claims he had alcohol in his cell, allegations Diddy denies. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Hard rock style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a rough night Wednesday for both of LA's NBA teams. The Lakers were in Oklahoma City and got crushed. The defending NBA champs beat the Lakers by 29, 121-92. 30 points and 9 assists for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Lakers had 20 turnovers. At the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, Denver Nuggets center Nikola Jokic scored 25 points in the first quarter against the Clippers en route to a 55-point performance. The Clippers have lost 6 straight after going down 130-116. LeBron practiced for the first time this season on Wednesday. He participated in 5-on-5 scrimmages with the Lakers G League team, the South Bay Lakers. LeBron has been sidelined with a sciatic nerve condition in his lower back and left leg. The Lakers are planning to give him some playing time on Sunday in South Bay's next game against the Rip City Remix, the Portland Trailblazers G League affiliate. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, a time to shine a light on a public health crisis that deeply impacts Black families. 1 in 5 Black adults ages 70 and older is living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, and the risk is twice as high compared to white adults. But AD isn't just forgetting a name or losing track of time. Signs of early AD could be repeating questions, missing appointments, or struggling with bills and daily tasks. These things aren't a normal part of aging. Here's the good news. Treatments are available that may help if AD is diagnosed early. If you notice changes in memory or daily routines, whether in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalsearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com to learn more about the signs and symptoms and a potential treatment option. This message is brought to you by AZI.
KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. If you've been impacted by the federal government shutdown or the discontinuation of SNAP benefits, you can find a food bank near you that's offering free groceries by going to lafoodbank.org or call 211. Additionally, LA County offers free meals at certain parks. There are meals and snacks for kids and seniors. Visit parks.lacounty.gov to find out which centers are offering which programs and to register in advance. And in addition to offering 2 free meals per day for all students, the LA Unified School District provides weekend meal kits for its students by request. The meal kits can be picked up on Fridays at grab-and-go locations. Please visit lausd.org/Cafe LA. That's lausd.org/CAFELA. We keep us safe. We keep us provided for. We keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is our regular contributor on Thursdays, Thought-Provoking Thursdays, Dr. P.L. De Silva. Professor, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. De Silva? I think, P.L., can you hear me? Okay, I think we might have a communication with P.L. De Silva. I was going to ask him some questions about what is taking place around the world with respect to Venezuela and the U.S.
Hello?
Hey, P.L.
Hello?
Listen,
Can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a bit broken up, but yeah, go ahead.
P.L., let me ask you a question about what many of us in America perceive as the illegal use of military force in Venezuela without the support of the Congress of the United States. Your thoughts about the president's arguments, his rationale, and what it does to undermine international diplomatic norms.
Hello?
Okay, I do have a technical problem with PL. I do apologize for that. I'm going to give my engineers an opportunity to work that out. In the meantime, we try to cover the world on Thursdays with PL De Silva, and PL is our regular contributor. He is an expert in international relations and diplomacy throughout the world, and has done tremendous work with a number of our federal agencies to help us look behind the scenes of what is not in the news. And we seem to have a technical problem, which we will resolve shortly, but I can use this opportunity to turn my attention to a very serious domestic issue, And my producers will let me know when PL can actually hear me momentarily. I want to go back to Southern California for just a moment. And Pedro Pizarro, pedro.pizarro@sce.com. Call 626-302-2255. Press 1 to reach the president of Southern California Edison, Pedro Pizarro. We are still looking to hear from him at KBLA Talk 1580 to discuss the Altadena Victims Fund and the way in which it is being distributed, the way in which it is being considered. We certainly want Pedro Pizarro, who committed to showing up at our town hall regarding the Altadena crisis, to call us as soon as possible, to reach out to our boss, Tavis Smiley, so that we can reach some kind of amicable understanding of communicating with the people of Altadena going forward. But the toleration of disrespect and sending us text messages and emails are insufficient to address the concerns that literally hundreds, not thousands of people have, whose lives have been profoundly affected by the Altadena fire as we come up on the 1-year anniversary of faulty equipment from Southern California Edison, which appears to be the culprit of the great loss that African Americans and others who live in the Altadena community have experienced as a result of those wildfires. Now, with that said, I want to move forward to something else as we wait for PL to rejoin our program.
I'm back.
Oh, hey, PL. Listen, I was asking you a question about what I perceive to be and what many of our listeners perceive to be an illegal war that the president is conducting in Venezuela and in South America and in the Caribbean. Can you share with us your thoughts about that and the processes that the president has bypassed here in the United States to conduct his present operations?
Right. So I'd like to start from a different perspective. The British government, which is one of the closest allies of the United States, has limited intelligence sharing with the US and their counterparts in the US because of the illegal actions that President Trump has unleashed in the Caribbean and in Venezuelan waters and international waters, to be. And you can see the kind of reaction. You know, previously I told you that the head of Dutch intelligence said that we are not sharing intelligence with the US anymore because we don't trust the United States under Trump. And now the British are saying we are limiting intelligence sharing because of the actions that have been taken in the Caribbean and of blasting these boats out of the water and killing, I think, 46 people on these boats. And I think these are all illegal actions that are being taken place because there's no verification as to who is on the boats and whether they're actually drug smugglers, whether they're armed, and actually the US is supposed to attack only if there's an imminent attack against US forces, which is not the case. So in fact, what is transpiring is that 46 civilians have been killed by the US Navy, and which is why the vice admiral in charge, he actually resigned. He took early retirement because he couldn't stand the illegal actions that he was being asked to carry out.
PL, it's being presented to us like it's some kind of video game. We look at it on television. It seems so simple. It seems so easy. The graphics are almost the same as video games. Are we becoming desensitized to the use of the most powerful military on earth, the way in which it is presented to the American people, that these are somehow threats that are so imminent that we would invoke the war power of the machinery that is represented by the U.S. armed forces?
This is what happens if you have half-baked people running the Defense Department and the Pentagon. You can't have a disgraced major running the show. I mean, what does he know at his level? He only knew what a major would know. You have to go on to be lieutenant colonel, colonel, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star. He's way down the chain, and he's trying to dictate to his betters what they should and shouldn't do. He's trying to read the riot act to them. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And he's upsetting the whole chain of command in the US military, and no wonder top capable officers, and especially women, are, unhappy. And I'm putting it mildly.
There's the desensitization, though, that's going on, because the American people are not reacting to the outrageous nature of the overwhelming use of force against these little pontoon boats, or whatever you want to call it. The way it's presented in the news is that they have a narrative. We can't verify the narrative with their attack on the press. They've removed reporters from the Pentagon who might be able to ask critical questions about U.S. engagement, including but not limited to actually going around the Congress of the United States, not providing them with critical information, or even conducting, I guess, with the Gang of 8 or with the Gang of 12, whatever these gangs they have up there on Capitol Hill, who they consult on these questions of military intervention. I'm sure you have concerns.
So it's hugely concerning that we don't have a free press anymore. They are being muzzled in the Pentagon, and actually they have a whole team of yes men and who support these kind of crazy fantasies, who are actually supposedly the correspondents inside the Pentagon. It is unheard of, and no wonder the Brits and the Dutch are distancing themselves from us, because it's totally unprofessional behavior, and people are living in la la land, in cuckoo land, cloud cuckoo land. It's totally unthinkable and unbearable for professional soldiers to see this, whatever their politics. Professional soldiers are very unhappy.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is Worldwide with PL De Silva. More with PL when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour has been none other than Dr. P.L. Da Silva. P.L., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse. I have a small correction to make. It was Navy 4-star Admiral Alvin Halsey, who is the head of Southern Command, Southcom, which commands U.S. Military operations across Central, South America, and the Caribbean. He's the one who resigned. He had another 3 years to go. He was just a year in, and he resigned because he doesn't think that the actions that the U.S. Navy has been carrying out in the Caribbean and in South American waters is legal. And this is hugely important. And of course, Pete Hegseth announced the retirement on the 12th of December, but he didn't give a specific reason. He left it anonymous. So these are the kinds of people who are running the Pentagon and running our military, ragged.
P.L., let me ask you a quick question, because obviously we're winding down this hour. The 8 United States senators who voted to end the government shutdown, your thoughts in light of the resistance that you have articulated and helped shape over the last year to the Trump regime. It seems that they missed the spirit energy of the No Kings movement. They missed the spirit energy of the Mamdani election. They missed the spirit energy of New Jersey and Virginia's election. They just went in the opposite direction of the desires of the people, the vast majority of them, I believe, and the Democratic Party. Bill, your thoughts?
Yes, it is very difficult to hold the line. One of them was an independent and 7 were, democratic centrists, not democratic socialists. So we have only Mamdani who calls himself a democratic socialist, but the others are centrists. So they were also feeling the pressure from their own electorate. I do believe, because people across the board, irrespective of their politics, are hurting. So yes, I do believe that the majority of the Democratic establishment considers it a betrayal. However, having the I mean this situation is going to happen again at the end of January. It's not going to change anything, because all what people do is they kick the football further upfield, but they don't solve the problem of the debt burden and the crisis of government in this country. So yeah, we may blame we may blame them for breaking from the rest of the people, but they may have, let's be fair and give them a little bit of slack, that they may have their own reasons coming from their own constituencies. But however, the problem hasn't gone away. Just because things are going to restart again come end of January, it's going to be again, we're going to be at loggerheads, and it wouldn't have gone away. And this is the only OECD country where we have this problem, and it's really unfathomable that we have not been able to find a solution, and we just keep adding on to the debt burden, adding on with no solutions in sight. But the one thing that I will fault these people who broke away is that millions of Americans are going to be at a deficit because of their health insurance. So
and that's
yes,
the
42 million people had food security issues. But then on the other hand, which was the argument that was being pushed by the Democratic establishment, is to be able to get concessions from the Republicans to maintain the Affordable Care Act and to give affordable care for people.
But Pio, we did not get those.
So that is a betrayal.
Pio, but we did not get those concessions. And I know we just have about 4 minutes left, but we did not get those concessions. And the premiums are going up right now before Thanksgiving. They'll obviously be going up before Christmas. And there is no guarantee that the vote that they apparently bargained for, or the debate that they bargained for, one, can actually win in the Senate, and number two, that the House will even consider it. And yet they brought the country to the brink of a serious negotiating and leveraging moment that is likely to not be duplicated. Therefore, there are calls for the resignation or the retirement, or certainly the leadership post needing to be abandoned by Chuck Schumer. Your thoughts on the legitimacy of those calls, that Chuck Schumer's leadership is ineffective at this hour?
I couldn't hear you properly, Jesse.
Is Chuck Schumer an effective leader at this hour?
Oh, I'm sorry, I lost you.
Well, Pio da Silva, my friend, cannot answer that question. I can answer it for you. I don't think that Chuck Schumer is the leader that is effective at this hour. And that's bearing out the truth of the fact that American premiums are increasing, that Democrats in the Senate, these 8 Democrats, took the movement and the spirit energy of people who have been resisting.
Yes.
Pio, you can hear me now? The question is Chuck Schumer's leadership effective? Can he sustain his position in the Senate given the nature of what he's willing to compromise on?
Right. So the question about Chuck Schumer, right? I think that Chuck Schumer could have certainly done better. And I think the Democratic Party would be served by a different leader than Chuck Schumer, because we are coming down to a tough time till we get to the midterm elections, and we need somebody strong and not somebody who's going to be a pushover. And I think that's as much as we can say about Chuck Schumer's performance. This is not the first time that he has been found wanting.
PL, we have about a minute and 15 seconds for your word of hope.
Yes. No, our hope is Mamdani and New York, and the election results that we got in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, in all of these places. So this is the movement of the young people, that young people are taking part in the political process. This is the future. This is the hope for America. Not all these old politicians. We need young blood. That's the future for America.
PL De Silva, I'm so glad that you spent this time with us on Worldwide. Thank you for being on the program this week, PL.
You take care. God bless you.
I look forward to seeing you next week. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, Johnny Mack, we're going to be discussing the World House. We're going to talk about Beyond Vietnam, a number of other critical issues as we analyze Dr. King in this new world order. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Outgoing New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who is black, just designated the Elizabeth Street Garden in Nolita as city parkland, blocking plans for senior affordable housing there.
It is no surprise that Mayor Adams is using his final weeks and months to cement a legacy of dysfunction and inconsistency.
Incoming Mayor Zoran Mamdani criticized the move. The Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. is in the hospital. His Rainbow Push Coalition says the 84-year-old civil rights icon was admitted Wednesday and is being monitored for progressive supranuclear palsy, a neurodegenerative condition he's managed for over a decade. And Sean Diddy Combs will spend a few extra weeks behind bars after his release date was pushed from May 8, 2028 to June 4th. Page 6 did not confirm why, but it comes after reports of issues with prison officials and claims he had alcohol in his cell, allegations Diddy denies. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Hard Rock Style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Hard Rock Style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers shouldn't feel too bad about getting mistreated Wednesday night by Denver Nuggets center Nikola Jokic. The three-time MVP has been doing that to everybody this season. In Denver's 11 games, Jokic is averaging 35.8 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, and is shooting 73.9% from the floor. The 55 points Jokic dropped on the Clippers Wednesday night matched a single-game high this season. Oklahoma City's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 55 against Indiana on October 23rd, but he needed a double overtime to do it. Jokic had his way with the Clippers in just 34 minutes. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford at age 37 is having an MVP-type season. He leads the NFL with 25 touchdown passes. Stafford and Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert are in the top 5 in passing yardage. Herbert is second with 2,610 yards. Stafford is fourth with 2,427. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. If you've been impacted by the federal government shutdown or the discontinuation of SNAP benefits, you can find a food bank near you that's offering free groceries by going to lafoodbank.org or call 211. Additionally, LA County offers free meals at certain parks. There are meals and snacks for kids and seniors. Visit parks.lacounty.gov to find out which centers are offering which programs and to register in advance. And in addition to offering 2 free meals per day for all students, the LA Unified School District provides weekend meal kits for its students by request. The meal kits can be picked up on Fridays at grab-and-go locations. Please visit lausd.org/Cafe LA. That's lausd.org/CAFELA. We keep us safe. We keep us provided for. We keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Our weekly host of the World House is Dr. Johnny Mack, principal and managing partner of the Johnny Mack Group LLC and founding director of the World House Project. Johnny J. Mack is a social entrepreneur and scholar practitioner with expertise in the areas of peace, conflict, and social change movements. He has traveled extensively throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, working in the fields of peace, development, conflict, and nonviolent social change. Dr. Mack's seminal work, After Confrontation, Then What?, challenges the putative logic of nonviolent social change theory and practice. Particularly, he rearticulates nonviolence beyond the traditional understanding of nonviolent struggle as principally nonviolent resistance. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I think Dr. Mack is muted.
Sorry about that, Jesse. I was. So good to be here. Good to see you. Thank you.
So good to be seen, Johnny, and you look great. Hey, Johnny, I'm thinking in this moment of reflection upon veterans, men and women who have sacrificed in every single war. I shared at the very outset of the program that from 1619 to 1776, July 4th, 1776, we lived under a king. Especially the Africans who came here on Jamestown, Virginia. We don't really reflect upon it because our minds and our intellects have been intellectually pickpocketed from the idea that we too lived under a king. Yes, we lived in slavery and we lived in the colonies, but we lived under a king. I shall never forget that scene in the movie Roots, which is so wonderfully chronological in its presentation of the story of a Black family. When Fiddler, that's it. When Fiddler, played by Louis Gossett Jr., is sitting around Kunta Kinte's table with his wife, and he says, because it's the 4th of July, he said, they celebrating, day's free. Boy, I'm so glad the day's free. And Mrs. Kinte looked at Fiddler and said, Fiddler, you better be careful what you say. You better stop that, Fiddler. Because we ain't free, but day's free. Yeah. So we're still not a United States of America at that moment. I mean, the idea that the Constitution isn't until September 17th, 1787, that the Bill of Rights aren't added until 1791. Dr. King clearly had given some reflection to the idea that African Americans participated in the Revolutionary War and every war up until the moment that he said this: we are here. We were here before Jefferson etched the magnificent words of the Declaration of Independence. We were here before these magnificent words were etched into the memory and the mind of the American people. What he didn't say is we were here under a king. And then we had to endure 15 non-democratic presidents who maintained the peculiar institution of slavery until we get to the 16th president, where we're towards freedom with an Emancipation Proclamation, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution of the United States. Then, of course, first Reconstruction and then Jim Crow. and then overcoming the limitations of Jim Crow, here comes Martin Luther King Jr. after Brown versus the Board of Education, trying to get the United States and America to live up to its ideals. And all in that context, Johnny, and we've got about 3 minutes before we come forward, is the American veteran and the American soldier. Go forward after these 3 minutes. I'm turning over to you right now. We're going to talk a little bit about Beyond Vietnam and Dr. King's magnificent speech on this subject. Johnny, put the American veteran, if you don't mind, in some context, the African-American veteran for us in this moment.
Well, yes, Jesse, what better moment than now as the nation, of course, celebrates the veterans. And African-Americans have always served honorably, literally from the inception. You think about Crispus Attucks, from the inception of the nation. And but we have not always been treated honorably, not only in that service, but after completing that service, after doing that service. And so as we think about the celebration, the memorials to those who have served, we have to think about those who have been underserved, who have been under-recognized, who have still, to this very day, to your point, have not been treated equally, with equal dignity and respect, and given equal opportunities that they've earned through their service. And so I think contextually, to your point, that's a way of framing African Americans, even today in this 21st century.
We find ourselves in this duality. I talked about it yesterday with Dr. Todd Yeary, both American and African. In some cases, the history of the Negro in America is a reflection of the very fact that we both are loyal to, if you will, our native land, but we bring a cultural spin to the American experiment, this 250-year experiment. Next year, we will celebrate, commemorate, if you will, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And there is a lot to be said about the status of our people, of our brown brothers and sisters at this hour, and our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean who find themselves profoundly challenged at this time as well by this administration. It just seems like so many of the things, Johnny, that we fought for are temporary. When we come forward, we're going to go to an immediate reflection from Martin Luther King Jr. himself, Beyond Vietnam, and we will continue this conversation on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and worldwide with Johnny Mack on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MAJOR25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MAJOR25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MAJOR25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
eBay has reinvented vehicle buying. From click to curb, everything's covered. Ever try to buy a car online and end up in a parking lot with a stranger and some blind trust? That era is over. Now with Secure Purchase, eBay isn't just where you find your car. It's where you buy it, start to finish. Title, financing, registration, delivery, it's all built in. This is the modern way to buy your next ride on eBay. eBay. Things people love. Secure Purchase is powered by Caramel Dealer Services, LLC, an eBay subsidiary.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. Their max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-515-4493. 800-515-4493. 800-515-4493.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Martin Luther King Jr. Beyond Vietnam. Johnny, our clip is coming forward in just a second. I want to welcome Johnny Mack back to the program. We're going to be discussing veterans, and we're going to continue looking at the moral dilemma that Martin Luther King Jr. saw in Vietnam against the backdrop of the World House. All right, Johnny, and having a small difficulty. So, Johnny, let me ask you a question. The context of Dr. King's Beyond Vietnam War speech for you, its significance?
Yes. So, Jesse, the context, of course, King is at the end of his life. He doesn't realize that, but it's just exactly a year, as I'm sure you know, before the end of his life that he gives this important speech at the Riverside Church in New York. And he lists 7 fundamental reasons in this speech why war in general, and this war specifically, is wrong. And I think understanding those 7 really helps to contextualize what war means today and the lessons we can learn from them. And perhaps before our hour is over, we can touch on each of those 7. But the first one, Jesse, is that war itself is the enemy of the poor.
Johnny, we're ready for our clip.
I come to this magnificent house of worship tonight because my conscience leaves me no other choice. I join you in this meeting because I'm in deepest agreement with the aims and work of the organization which has brought us together, clergy and laymen concerned about Vietnam. The recent statements of your executive committee are the sentiments of my own heart, and I found myself in full accord when I read its opening lines. A time comes when silence is betrayal. That time has come for us in relation to Vietnam. The truth of these words is beyond doubt, but the mission to which they call us is a most difficult one. Even when pressed by the demands of inner truth, Men do not easily assume the task of opposing their government's policy, especially in time of war. Nor does the human spirit move without great difficulty against all the apathy of conformist thought within one's own bosom and in the surrounding world. Moreover, when the issues at hand seem as perplexing as they often do, in the case of this dreadful conflict, we are always on the verge of being mesmerized by uncertainty. But we must move on. And some of us who have already begun to break the silence of the night have found that the calling to speak is often a vocation of agony. But we must speak. We must speak with all the humility that is appropriate to our limited vision. But we must speak. And we must rejoice as well, for surely this is the first time in our nation's history that a significant number of its religious leaders have chosen to move beyond the prophesying of smooth patriotism to the high grounds of a firm dissent based upon the mandates of conscience and the reading of history. Perhaps a new spirit is rising among us. If it is, let us trace its movements and pray that our own inner being may be sensitive to its guidance, for we are deeply in need of a new way beyond the darkness that seems so close around us. Over the past 2 years, as I have moved to break the betrayal of my own silences and to speak from the burnings of my own heart, as I have called for radical departures from the destruction of Vietnam, many persons have questioned me about the wisdom of my path. At the heart of their concerns, this query has often loomed large and loud. Why are you speaking about the war, Dr. King? Why are you joining the voices of dissent? Peace and civil rights don't mix, they say. Aren't you hurting the cause of your people, they ask. And when I hear them, though I often understand the source of their concern, I'm nevertheless greatly saddened, for such questions mean that the inquirers have not really known me, my commitment or my calling. Indeed, their questions suggest that they do not know the world in which they live. In the light of such tragic misunderstanding, I deem it of signal importance to try to state clearly, and I trust concisely, why I believe that the path from Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, a church in Montgomery, Alabama, where I began my pastorate, leads clearly to this sanctuary tonight. I come to this platform tonight to make a passionate plea to my beloved nation. This speech is not addressed to Hanoi or to the National Liberation Front. It is not addressed to China or to Russia. Nor is it an attempt to overlook the ambiguity of the total situation and the need for a collective solution to the tragedy of Vietnam. Neither is it an attempt to make North Vietnam or the National Liberation Front paragons of virtue, nor to overlook the role they must play in the successful resolution of the problem. While they both may have justifiable reasons to be suspicious of the good faith of the United States, life and history give eloquent testimony to the fact that conflicts are never resolved without trustful give and take on both sides. Tonight, however, I wish not to speak with Hanoi and the National Liberation Front, but rather to my fellow Americans. That is, at the outset, a very obvious and almost facile connection between the war in Vietnam and the struggle I and others have been waging in America. A few years ago, there was a shining moment in that struggle.
Johnny, I'm so moved by Dr. King's voice during this Veterans Day period because African Americans had fought in every war from the Revolution to the very moment that Martin Luther King Jr., you correctly and aptly state, 1 year before the end of his life. He's reframing for us the battle in our own psyches between our patriotism for the nation and the inescapable reality of poverty in the United States, and the connection between poverty and what the injustice that was being experienced and the massive weaponry that was being used upon the poorest of the poor in the world in Vietnam. Johnny, you had 7 points that you wanted to make about the importance and significance of this speech.
Yeah, indeed, Jesse. I think the paragraph, if you will, right after you ended that clip, King makes the statement that there are seven major reasons. They are not my seven; they are his for bringing Vietnam into the field of what he called the nation's moral vision. King was so incredibly articulate in how he presented the challenges that we face in America. And I mentioned, Jesse, that as you just stated, that first major reason is that war is the enemy of the poor, that it takes from the poor the resources of the nation and applies those resources in ways that are violent, that add nothing of real significance to humanity's growth and development. And the second reason is related to the first. Not only is violence the enemy of the poor, but it seems that the poor are the ones who do the fighting. They are the ones who are either conscripted or encouraged to volunteer because they have no other opportunities or few opportunities. And so they are the ones who find themselves on the front lines of danger and the front lines of the violence that comes with war. And so the second reason I think that King gives to why violence and war, in the case of the Vietnam War, is antithetical to our human existence. The third reason, Jesse, as I recall, is that war denies the significance that real positive social change can only be realized through nonviolence. And that violence only begets violence, and that one cannot find in violence a positive end, because King understood that the means we use determines the ends that we realize. And if we use a violent means to solve our conflicts, Jesse, we can expect a violent end. We often call that negative peace.
Because it gives birth to the idea that conflict cannot be resolved peaceably. And so the means that we use, the thoughts that we place into those means, are pre-existent in the end that we want to achieve. If we want to get along, if we want to get along with MAGA, if we want to get along with Trump, if we want to get along and keep this nation together, if we want to get along with Abbott and DeSantis, and these are hard names to mention.
Yes.
We want to get along with Boebert, and we want to get along with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And we're going to have to give some thought about the end that we want to achieve, because it's pre-existent in the means.
That's exactly
How do
right.
we get through to them? How do we move them from their thinking to our thinking So at the end of the day, we're not trying to hurt them physically, mentally, spiritually, or any other way, but to reach common ground. Dad says it this way: we must move from racial battleground to economic common ground on to moral ground. But that means we have to give some thought on the front side of the end that we seek. To how do we approach these people, Johnny?
Yeah. So, I think that leads us to King's fourth point, Jesse. And it's so profound, yet so simple in its profundity. And that is brother and sisterhood. King argues in this speech that irrespective of any other designation or characterization we give to our humanity, the most important is our commonality, our brotherhood and our sisterhood. It supersedes race and even nationhood. If we are going to get along in this world house, we must, as King argued in his World House Treaty, come together as brothers and sisters in the house, or we will perish as fools. So understanding that whatever the problems are that we are confronted with, even in our congressional debates over a budget or over health care or over any other provision or service that our nation provides ourselves and how we engage with other nations around the world. If we do not begin with that common notion of human dignity and worth, and that we must all live together as brothers and sisters, King argued, and he was right, Jesse, we're going to perish as fools.
Johnny, I know that we've got to come forward right now. I want to tell you a very, very quick story. I've got a mayor in my district who said to me, Jesse, can you get me a zip code? And I said, I may have to go and ask Marjorie Taylor Greene for the zip code. She said, then go ask her. I hope Hakeem Jeffries is the next speaker, but we got to work with everybody anyway. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. A new report says young Americans are struggling to buy homes. Experts say the vast majority of young Americans cannot buy a home without a lot of help.
And if they're not subsidized by their families or parents and able to, contribute to buying a home, you forget about it.
For the Black community, only about 44% of Black households own their homes compared to roughly 65% nationwide. Friday is National Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. Schools nationwide will honor Bridges' historic role in desegregating Southern schools. In 1960, at just 6 years old, she became the first Black child to attend an all-white elementary school in the South. And a security guard who lost her assault case against rapper Cardi B is asking for a new trial, but Cardi's lawyers called the motion baseless. A hearing is set for December 5th. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Hard rock style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers shouldn't feel too bad about getting mistreated Wednesday night by Denver Nuggets center Nikola Jokic. The three-time MVP has been doing that to everybody this season. In Denver's 11 games, Jokic is averaging 35.8 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, and is shooting 73.9% from the floor. The 55 points Jokic dropped on the Clippers Wednesday night matched a single-game high this season. Oklahoma City's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 55 against Indiana on October 23rd, but he needed a double overtime to do it. Jokic had his way with the Clippers in just 34 minutes. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford, at age 37, is having an MVP-type season. He leads the NFL with 25 touchdown passes. Stafford and Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert are in the top 5 in passing yardage. Herbert is second with 2,610 yards. Stafford is fourth with 2,427. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center proudly presents its 27th annual Real Black Men Short Film Showcase. Join us Saturday, October 25th at the Writers Guild Theater, 135 South Doheny Drive in Beverly Hills, California. The showcase will feature over 20 films by emerging Black male filmmakers from across the country, ready to let their stories be seen, voices be heard, and visions come to life. Saturday, October 25th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tickets are on sale now on eventbrite.com. For more information, call 323-957-4656 or email bherc@bherc.org.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at lifelock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jesse Jackson, welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA discussing the world with Johnny Mack on KBLA Talk 1580. Hey, you know, Johnny, just before we were going forward, I think you were on point number 4 or 5 with respect to Dr. King's a dissection of Dr. King's Beyond Vietnam speech. I want to make something really clear. I want Hakeem Jeffries to be the next Speaker of the House. I'm going to do everything I can. As I did for Kamala Harris, I campaigned in 6 states across the country, oftentimes being the voice of Reverend Jesse Jackson, whose voice had been silenced by pseudo-progressive, supranuclear palsy. That's that my father has. And I would be the speaker for him in these multiple states. And I expect and hope to be speaking for Democrats around the country in the not too distant future in their reelection bids, particularly in areas where they can't get people out to vote. I've done that all of my life. But with that said, if Democrats are unsuccessful, and I plan for us to be successful, we could still have the same speaker. And Jada Curry in the south suburbs of Chicago said, hey, I need a zip code, which means you have to talk to, in my case, Henry Hyde. You have to talk to Newt Gingrich. You have to talk to Marjorie Taylor Greene. You have to talk to Lauren Boebert, and to bring these people into a kind of, maybe not a world house, but a capital house, because she needs a zip code. Understand? Those are the functioning of how the institution itself works. Dr. King was asking us to look beyond our differences and to recognize the other selves and not just ourselves in building a world house. Am I right, Johnny?
I think you're right, Jesse. In fact, you know, your point is so well made that the people's house is the place for doing the people's business. And as we saw, particularly in the stalemate over this last continuing resolution vote, the House absent for how many days? I don't recall, Jesse, the exact number of days.
A lot of days, more than any other.
A lot of days, Jesse.
Shut down the government.
You know, how many Americans can simply not show up to work and still get paid for such a period of time? But that's the world in which we live today, Jesse, and it's the world where King would be appalled to see that after all of this time, even after the end of the Vietnam War, after all of this time, we still live under the tyranny of a majority that can I say jerry rigs the process to ensure that a certain segment of society continues to control the means and mechanisms of governing. And we've got to do something about that. So your desire to ensure that Jeffries becomes the next House Speaker, and that you yourself, Jesse Jackson Jr., continues, not only with your voice, but with your leadership. I think your state needs that. I think your nation needs that. And I think the world will be benefited by it.
Johnny, point number 5, Dr. King on Beyond the World House, 6, 7, and 8.
Well, Jesse, point number 5 is really, really cogent here. It's really important. King was so pragmatic and so simple, but yet so profound. King simply says that not only is war the enemy of the poor, but war is the place where the people themselves live under a certain tyranny, that the impact of war on society at large, think about the war in Gaza, what has happened to Gaza, how it's been totally decimated, and 2 million human beings have been displaced, and tens and thousands of them have been killed, and many more beyond that tens of thousands have been maimed and displaced. Think about the Ukrainian war and the people who suffer from the consequences of war, the decimation of cities and of livelihoods. Think about Sudan, Jesse, and what is happening with the war there in Sudan. And I'm speaking of the northern part. South Sudan, of course, it also has its challenges. But think about the war between the fighting factions and the impact that it has on ordinary citizens whose livelihoods are totally devastated by the conflicts that are waged against greedy, hungry, selfish, more often than not men, but sometimes women, who wage wars over power and greed and so much more that means so little.
Johnny, number 6.
Number 6, Jesse, is that being in a war is being on the wrong side of a revolution. King argued that war never is the answer, and that we as humanity must engage in a revolution of values that changes the trajectory of our social change and our human development away from violent conflict and toward the peaceful resolution of conflicts. And that if you're on the side of war, you're on the wrong side of a revolution that builds the world house.
And finally, Johnny, number 7.
And number 7 is, it's either nonviolence or non-existence.
So
we can argue and we can ignore points 1 through 6. All we want, Jesse Jackson. But King says at the end of the day, brother, it's either going to be nonviolence or it's going to be non-existence.
The profundity of that, though, that the choice is so stark.
Yes.
In King's meta logic, that that nonviolence is a legitimate choice, and that non-existence, the extinction of the species itself,
yes,
is at stake unless we consider a non-violent path, which I'm taking to mean, how do we feed the people of the world? How do we clothe the people of the world? How do we help advance people's, not only their collective understanding of community, but we don't stifle their individual innovative capacity to be exactly who God wants them to be in their time and in their space? How do we provide a floor for all of humanity? I think it was Gandhi who said it this way: we have enough resources in the world to meet all of the people's needs, but we do not have enough resources in the world to meet all of the people's greed.
That's exactly right. That's Gandhi.
That's Gandhi.
That's Gandhi.
At some point in time, there has to be a minimum floor, not only for Americans, but for the very people that you talk about in the Sudan, in the Ukraine, in the Gaza Strip, in Venezuela. A minimum floor that we're not discussing anymore, Johnny.
You know, Jesse, think about this to the point that you just made, and you know, relating it to Gandhi's genius. We learned just this past week or so that one single human being will soon be worth $1 trillion. $1 trillion. Now, Jesse, you know, if you gave me $1 million today, I guess I'd figure out how to spend it. I guess I would. If you gave me 100 million, you know, maybe I can buy a few buildings. Or if you gave me $1 billion, maybe I could figure out how to use $1 billion, Jesse. But how does a single individual? What does a single individual do with $1 trillion?
Absolutely nothing. Johnny, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is the World House with Johnny Mack. What does a single individual do with $1 trillion? More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Established in 2020 during a time of deep racial unrest across our state and country, the Black Freedom Fund was created to make sure that leaders and organizations working to support Black communities and build power have the resources they need to stay in the fight for the long haul. We believe that those closest to the issues impacting our communities know best how to solve them. That's why in just the last 5 years, we've granted more than $45 million to over 200 grassroots organizations across California. That is the largest collective investment in Black organizing in history, and we're just getting started. We are clear-eyed and committed, more now than ever, to our people, our power, and our possibility. Join us in creating a future where Black people harness their full power to shape their lives and realize a just world for all. Learn more at fundblackfreedom.org. That's fundblackfreedom.org. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you've been diagnosed with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, this is what it sounds like to be 1,000,000 miles away. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. In clinical trials, at least 70% of patients saw at least 90% clearer skin at 16 weeks. Results may vary. Tremfya is also indicated for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Call 1-800-526-7736 or visit tremfya.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Is your loved one at the hospital or in a nursing home? Have they developed bed sores, fallen, or worse? These are things your family members should be protected from. Bed sores, falls, and dehydration are almost always the result of negligent care. If this has happened to your loved one, call Zoran at Basic Law Group at 800-215-1234 or visit basiclawgroup.com. The consultation is free, and if they don't win, you don't pay. That's 800-215-1234.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Mack's research includes extensive study of Martin Luther King Jr., his logic of nonviolence, and the U.S. Civil Rights Movement. He explicates Dr. King's logic of nonviolence using King's call to restructure the social edifice and particularly its triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism with a revolution of values that is effected through peaceable power. This framework articulates Dr. King's peaceable power as direct, structural, and cultural nonviolence with a correlating strategic consciousness and cultural action correlates. Mack thus argues that nonviolence is a metalogic with direct, structural, and cultural forms that counterpose Johann Galtong's seminal conflict and violence triangles. That triangle, Johnny, has to include the reality that African American veterans went to Vietnam abroad and they came home to a nation, along with their white counterparts, being spat upon, being called baby killer, some without limbs, many of whom ended up being homeless, some of them with such psychological traumatic effects that they were just unemployable generally. That the consequences of those who hate had a real psychological consequence on a generation of people who hated and became hated as well.
Yeah. So, yes, Johann Galtong's triangle, you are right, Jesse, must address the injustices, the indignities that African Americans faced then, even as patriots fighting in wars that they did not create, they did not start, and then coming home, not being recognized and treated as full citizens with equal justice under the law and equal opportunity in their own countries. And that triangle that Galtung design that you speak of talks about direct violence, which a war is. But the other two angles of the triangle, one again being direct physical violence, we call it war in this conversation, are the structural and cultural forms of violence. And so when we think about institutional racism and violence that is embedded politically, processually, institutionally in the systems and designs of how we organize our societies that favor some and disfavor others, that give opportunities to some while nothing to others or limiting opportunities to others. These are the other forms of violence that Galtung was referencing in his triangle and that you speak of now, and what veterans of color have suffered under as a result of this way we organize our society that we call the United States.
Johnny, how can we support your work?
Well, Jesse, our website is the World House Project, the THE worldhouseproject.org. There you can learn more about our work globally, and you can support it. There is a donation button you can click on, and we welcome your support. As King has said, we've got difficult days now and ahead, and we must collectively come together. I think at some point you're going to ask me about that word of hope.
Oh, I promise you it's coming. Why don't we start right now? Johnny, can you offer
well, Jesse,
word of hope?
That word of hope is that those listening to you and me today and from week to week will support the work that we do around the globe to create a just and peaceful world. But I want to talk more about King's own hope in his dream speech, because King placed his hope in each and every one of us. He understood that he was simply a mouthpiece. He was a man of faith who understood that he had a platform and could represent a certain type of megaphone to bring attention to the challenges and opportunities that confront us as humanity. But he understood that if change would take place, it had to take place in the hearts and minds of each and every one of us. And we had to organize ourselves. And he was constantly telling us to be studious and judicious in how we organize ourselves. We, ordinary citizens, organize ourselves to create the kind of world we want. We can't look to others, and particularly those who ostensibly lead us. We have to set the values and the mores and the norms that inform and instruct their behavior in that leadership. And if we don't hold them accountable, then we can't expect any more than what we get. And so we are the hope that we are looking for. We are the hope that King expected would bend the arc of justice, or the arc of the universe, toward justice. That means, Jesse, that every one of us has to take hold of that arc. And we have to pull on that arc and bend it ourselves, each and every one of us, toward justice.
I certainly saw the government shutdown effort as an opportunity to bend the arc. And let me just frame it this way before I ask Johnny very quickly one more time how we can offer support to the work that he does. 44 million Americans need the Affordable Care Act. Affordable Care Act. Just take the Obama name off of it for a moment. Affordable care, 44 million people. But there are not 44 million unemployed people in America. They're just not. That'd be 1/5 of the nation. 42 million people need the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. But there are not 42 million people unemployed in America. The fact that 1/5 of our nation needs affordable care, they work every day, they need supplemental nutrition, they have to eat every day, a government handout, is evidence of a massive problem with addressing poverty in the United States, one of Dr. King's triple evils. Johnny, I know that our show is coming to an end now. Once again, how can we support your work very quickly?
Again, theworldhouseproject.org, www.theworldhouseproject.org.
Johnny, I'm glad you're on the show with us this week, sir. We salute the veterans and we salute the men and women of our nation who've given us their ultimate sacrifice. We're so grateful for your service. This has been an amazing week for us. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest, none other than Johnny Mack. Look forward to seeing Johnny next Thursday. Until then, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.